This obsession with the B5 Audi platform just started just over 2 years ago for me. Basically, I came across this TV series that was showing on YouTube, and it was something along the lines of rednecks versus rice. And what it consisted of were track driven muscle cars ranked up against anyone that brought anything that they wanted to race against these guys. And time again, everyone lost. There's Honda Civics, there was Subarus, Evos, everything. And one guy that actually won had a stage 3 Avant. And what it basically was station wagon, twin turbo Audi, and it looked stock when they opened up the hood, but it was a complete sleeper. So watching this show or this series, it kind of piqued my interest. So I asked one of my buddies at work about it, and he has a 500-600 horsepower Evo, and he has a DSM and all that type of stuff. And he's like, "Oh yeah, man." He's like, "I really wanted to get a B5 S4." He's like, "The 2.7 by turbo platform is pretty solid." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I was looking into it. I always wanted a Subaru, believe it or not. But then the more I looked into them, the more I realized that they have nothing but problems. They always blow up. Um, Ringland failures, you name it. I mean, there's obviously a lot of memes and jokes around on the internet, but Subarus aren't really that reliable when you want to go fast. So basically, I was looked at a local dealer that had a few B5 S4s on their lot, and I was like, you know what, let me go and test drive one. So I went and checked it out, and the first thing I noticed right away were was the drivability difference between the B5 S4 platform and something like an Evo or a WRX or even an STI. So with the WRX and STI, I just didn't like the drivability of them. It's like driving in a tin can. It's too loud, too bumpy, too noisy, and the interior sucks. It's just low quality. It reminds me of like GM stuff, except we're talking about $30,000-$40,000 cars. So when I first came across the B5, I was really impressed with the leather interior and all the other features of a car as old as it is. So these cars are mine's a 2002, and it has features that a lot of modern cars still don't even have. So like heated seats and all that type of stuff. Um, so having said that, I kind of just really fell into it. I started exploring the aftermarket support for these cars, and I found out that there was actually an aftermarket for them. I grew up just at the kind of very tail end of the muscle car era. So back when I was like 16, I had a V8 G body, and I always loved power and all that. So like my biggest thing growing up was like, oh, we'll get a Chevy because Chevys have aftermarket support. It's really inexpensive. It's there. So my first, thing was, is there an aftermarket for these cars? And there certainly is. So once I kind of realized that there was a aftermarket and as well as like an upgrade path, like stage one, stage two, stage three, and all that, that really turned me onto the platform. And I really wanted something all-wheel drive and four-door. I do have a son, and that was really important to me. And like I said, safety features are pretty top-notch for a car this age. It has side curtain airbags. It has like the airbags built into the seats, all that stuff, and which rank it higher in terms of safety than like a GM car that might not have those features. So having said that, I kind of just grabbed it. I jumped on one, and unfortunately, I paid top dollar for it. But what was important to me was that it was a one owner car, and it was fairly unmolested. The only thing it had done was diverter valves and an exhaust back system, or I'm sorry, an exhaust system, which is a cat back system. So as soon as I got the car, I started having some issues, and didn't really want to pay someone else, or I kind of, to be honest, didn't have the money to have someone else work on my car, and started digging in. And that's when I found out that aftermarket support, as well as there was a robust history with the B5 S4 platform in terms of forums and posts that you could go back and read and find out how to do stuff and how to do the work yourself. So once I kind of found out about that, that's when I just kept getting deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. And I found out, as long as you maintain these cars and stay on top of issues, it's like any other car. I mean, it is a 15-year-old car, so it's going to take some work, it's going to take some money, but we're talking, what were these cars, like $55,000 luxury vehicles, brand new. So you get what you pay for, right? You can tell the difference between this car and something like a WRX or an STI or an Evo. That's kind of why and how this entire YouTube channel came to be. It started out as I identified that there weren't a lot of videos for this car. So all the information was out there. It was all buried deep in forums and posts and there's actual websites and web pages where you can find all this information. But I wanted to modernize it. So that's kind of why I do all this effort and all this work to create these videos. Because someone like me, I don't want to sit there and spend my days sifting through all these old forum posts. And more importantly, if I have a question, I don't feel like resurrecting an 8-year-old forum post in hopes of, trying to get an answer. And the funny thing is with the forums, it's not instant. So like if you're relying on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that, you realize the power of, like, you could be in the middle of working on this car and have a question, and you can pose that question on the right platform and get almost an immediate response. But with forums, you might be waiting a day or 2 or 3. So that's the whole aim and goal of doing this YouTube channel, is to kind of resurrect all that information and kind of basically modernize it into a video format that's easily searchable and all in one place. So I'm really impressed with the support from the community on all of this. I'm the new kid on the block. I realize that. I'm not a mechanic, and I'm just doing what I got to do to make this work, and I'm trying to do it right. So I know there's a lot of butchered cars out there, and these cars, if you don't do it right, you're going to have a lot of massive problems with them. So that's kind of what I'm trying to focus on, is the importance of doing things right the first time, as well as spreading the information in a new way and in a good way. So like I said, I'm really impressed with the support. Thank you everyone for checking out my videos, and especially for taking time out of your day to leave me a comment or whatever. It's truly remarkable, the era that we're living in. So the way I see it, YouTube is the new thing. I mean, obviously it's been around for a while, but forums are pretty much dead at this point. So if you want to learn quickly, video, YouTube, all that is the way to go. So thanks guys for all the support. That's a little bit of my backstory as to why and how I got into the B5 platform, and I'm addicted at this point. This is more than a hobby. So stay tuned for more.